Aperture Science was once a monument to scientific ambition. Following GLaDOS's deadly assault, it has become something far more sinister. Even after the fall of Earth and the lockdown of the facility, it continues to run, only now in a far darker form. This is what remains. In this episode, we will descend into the fallen Aperture Science facility and explore why it feels so wrong, both for the human and AI life trapped within what is essentially a sealed vault. So sit back, relax if you can, as I, Scarion, give you this lemon-powered tour. From shower curtains to government contracts to a bitter feud with Black Mesa, Aperture Science stands as one of the most competitive science companies on the planet. Operating out of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the company ensures its products are thoroughly tested before they are deemed fit for the outside world. Sure, Aperture has endured a few setbacks in its time. Missing test subjects, a Senate hearing, dangerous equipment, bankruptcy. But what company hasn't? Even so, Aperture continues on, doing science whatever way it can. And that is why it needs you, yes, you, to participate in the new computer-aided testing track. In exchange for monetary compensation, Aperture brings in human test subjects to put those products through their paces. This brings us deep within the Enrichment Center, where one such subject wakes up from a long-induced sleep, ready to begin their turn on the testing track.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We hope your brief detention in the relaxation vault has been a pleasant one. Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper. Before we start, however, keep in mind that although fun and learning are the primary goals of all Enrichment Center activities, serious injuries may occur. For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from
Por favor, por
donde
fallan. Muchas gracias. Déjala, gracias.
Turn back. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
Something is off. Not in any way you can quite put your finger on, but there is something. The observation windows lack observers, the monitors within appear to flicker with corruption, and the only sound in the chamber is the hum of the lights above. Even the relaxation chamber resembles a prison cell, while the orange uniforms look more like jumpsuits. Little details perhaps, but together they form a much larger puzzle. This testing track consists of 19 modular chambers within the Enrichment Center, built specifically to test the Aperture Science handheld portal device. Each chamber introduces new rules, allowing Aperture to observe just how useful the device truly is and how it behaves in the hands of a test subject. Test Chamber 0 marks the test subject's first step onto the testing track, introducing them to the Aperture Science weighted storage cube and the Aperture Science heavy-duty super colliding super button. A simple lesson in how these weighted buttons trigger the door mechanisms, and each time the subject completes a task, solves the puzzle of a chamber, they are given praise by the AI and moved along to the next chamber. However, these remarks are odd.
Excellent. Please proceed into the chamber lock after completing each test. Please move quickly to the chamber lock, as the effects of prolonged exposure to the button are not part of this test.
Vague insults, behavioral conditioning, and just enough praise create a surreal environment for the test subject to move through. Test Chamber 2 grants them access to the Aperture Science handheld portal device, Aperture's revolutionary invention capable of bridging 2 points in space.
Very good. You are now in possession of the Aperture Science handheld portal device. With it, you can create your own portals. These intradimensional gates have proven to be completely safe. The device, however, has not. Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most importantly, under no circumstances should you...
It's all fairly standard, isn't it? A controlled environment in what appears to be a state-of-the-art facility. So why does everything feel so wrong? The chambers are designed to feel controlled, clinical, almost sterile, because that is what a proper testing environment is supposed to be. Instead, they feel neglected and hostile. The walls have degraded and are layered with dirt. The only way out is to solve the puzzle at hand, yet almost every chamber is lined with hazards capable of severely injuring or killing the volunteer participants. Toxic goo punishes a mistimed portal with a gruesome end. High-energy pellets threaten permanent disabilities such as complete vaporization. And military-grade turrets fire at anything biological they see. This is a testing truck built to evaluate the portal gun, its application, and its human use. So why does it resemble a gauntlet? And throughout it all, the AI guiding the subject glitches and stutters and appears to slip in subtle threats, backhanded compliments, and fresh anxieties, enough to leave one wondering whether she is really there to help at all.
Please be advised that a noticeable taste of blood is not part of any test protocol, but is an unintended side effect of the Aperture Science material emancipation grill, which may, in semi-rare cases, emancipate dental fillings, crowns, tooth enamel, and teeth.
The observation windows lie bare, yet the cameras remain active, tracking the subject through every inch of the test chambers. Always following, always watching. In a place where something already feels wrong and where no human presence is anywhere to be seen, that only deepens the sense of isolation and vulnerability. In a normal testing environment, that pressure would be softened by the presence of other people and the sense that the procedure is being actively supervised. Aperture preserves only the appearance of that structure. The cameras watch, the doors open, and her voice continues speaking, but the subject never sees who, if anyone, is actually overseeing the process. That is what makes the isolation so effective. The subject is not simply alone in an empty room, but alone in a place that is still active, still watching, and still directing them onward. The silence feels heavier because it does not feel natural. It feels like something is missing or being withheld. It is in test chamber 16 that this lingering sense of wrongness takes on a more concrete form. A wall panel has been forced aside, revealing a story all on its own. Someone is, or once was, living here. But why? Why hide in the walls? And then there it is. Help, and the cake is a lie. Something bad happened here. The signs of it are everywhere, and for any subject fortunate enough to make it this far, the realization is a horrifying one. This testing track is designed to kill them, and there is no clear way home. The Aperture Science computer-aided testing track is only one small section of the vast facilities surrounding it. The test chambers may feel self-contained, but they exist in a sprawling underground complex constructed within an old salt mine, one that stretches far beyond anything the subject can see. What they do not know is that even if they complete the track, they will not be leaving Aperture Science in any traditional sense. There is no one out there, Following the incident, this place remains under total lockdown. No scientists nor any other personnel remain. The facility keeps everything inside and whatever is outside, out. Above ground, the world has also fallen to a catastrophic alien invasion, an event entirely separate from Aperture's collapse, yet one the lockdown inadvertently shields the sleeping test subjects from. What was once a monument to scientific ambition has become something far more suffocating. A buried world with almost no chance of escape. Aperture means an opening, a hole, a passage through, but there is no opening here now. There is almost a cruel irony in that. Only concrete, steel, and salt-surrounding test subjects held in extended relaxation, who have slept through the fall of the world above them. Aperture had once been a rising star, but this is what remains. A facility frozen in time, its history still clinging to the walls, preserved across the decades as the company expanded under CEO Cave Johnson. And throughout it all, motion-activated recordings still crackle to life at the slightest movement, triggered now not by eager test subjects or bright-eyed employees, but by the stray crows picking their way through the ruins as old messages play out to an audience that no longer exists.
Welcome, gentlemen, to Aperture Science. Astronauts, war heroes, Olympians, you're here because we want the best. And you are it. So, who is ready to make some science?
In their heyday, as Aperture expanded further into the old salt mine, the company brought in elite test subjects and paid them handsomely to trial its most groundbreaking technology. These haunted ruins once played host to radiation experiments and the tumor removals that followed, to humans transformed into praying mantis hybrids, the war against the mantis men, and even an invisible laser designed to turn blood into gasoline. It was an age of astonishing scientific ambition, but one that left a staggering body count in its wake, dismissed as little more than the human cost. This place is steeped in history, though few will ever get to walk through it now. There is also the major issue of asbestos exposure, but that is another problem entirely. I mean, why would they want to come here, and how would they? The world has fallen, and yet it is fascinating. Places like these tap into the same instinct that draws people to tombs, caves, bunkers, shipwrecks, and old asylums. The pull of places sealed off from ordinary life where the past still feels present. This became just that. A lost archive.
There's 1,000 tests performed every day here in our enrichment spheres. I can't personally oversee every one of them, so these pre-recorded messages will cover any questions you might have and respond to any incidents that may occur in the course of your science adventure.
These ruins tell the story of this once great facility's steady decline throughout its forgotten spheres over the decades. The haunting voice recordings that echo through the abandoned hallways still carry that original optimism and work ethic, but they also echo what brought Aperture down.
They didn't fly into space, storm a beach, or bring back the gold. No, sir, we did. It's you and me against the world, son. I like your grit. Hustle could use some work, though. Now let's solve this thing. That eager voice you heard is the lovely Carolyn, my assistant. Rest assured, she has transferred your honorarium to the charitable organization of your choice. Isn't that right, Carolyn? She's the backbone of this facility. Pretty as a postcard, too. Sorry, fellas. She's married. To science. Greetings, friend. I'm Cave Johnson, CEO of Aperture Science. You might know us as a vital participant in the 1968 Senate hearings on missing astronauts. And you've most likely used one of the many products we invented, but that other people have somehow managed to steal from us. Black Mesa can eat my bankrupt...
Cave Johnson's story still hangs over the facility. His relationship with Carolyn, his paranoia towards Black Mesa, the company's financial collapse, the invention of the portal device, and his desperate push towards an artificial intelligence that could run Aperture more efficiently all leave their mark on what the company becomes. By the end, even Cave Johnson himself becomes another casualty of Aperture's ambitions, dying slowly from moonrock poisoning brought on by his own experiments. And this is where the facility becomes truly unsettling. Aperture no longer functions as a place run by humans. Human beings are still present, but only along the computer-aided testing track, reduced to test components whose behavior the system can observe, measure, and push through chamber after chamber. They are no longer in control. They are part of the machinery. Factories continue assembling sentry turrets, wall panels shift and lock into place to form new test chambers. Every system still works towards the same goal: to test. There is life here, certainly, but not in any human sense. So, what does live down here?
Brain mapping. Artificial intelligence. We should have been working on it 30 years ago. I will say this, and I'm gonna say it on tape so everybody hears it 100 times a day. If I die before you people can pour me into a computer, I want Carolyn to run this place. Now she'll argue. She'll say she can't. She's modest like that, but you make her. Hell, put her in my computer, I don't care.
No, listen to me. Sir, I do not want this. I don't want this.
The genetic lifeform and disk operating system was designed to run Aperture efficiently. Created to accelerate scientific production and beat Black Mesa in the race for portal technology, she became the most dangerous thing in the facility. It was the forced integration of a human consciousness into a machine that created something so unpredictable and far more intelligent than the people who built her. Now she sees and controls everything. Ever since she deployed neurotoxin across the facility, wiped out the personnel, and locked the entire place down. From her cameras spread across the enrichment center, she monitors every test subject. She commands the personality cores in her factories to keep Aperture running, to maintain equipment in working condition, and to design and construct fresh parts for her new test chambers. She ensures that testing continues, no matter the human cost. And in her chambers, she watches as the humans participate and follow her instructions. She does, from time to time, mess with them. They're her toys to play with, after all.
Very impressive. Please note that any appearance of danger is merely a device to enhance your testing experience.
And that is what makes the unease so effective. The subjects brought into this testing environment are completely unaware of the truth, of everything that has happened outside their cages. They do not know the facility itself is working against them, that the AI they listen to is sentient. GLaDOS, however, knows everything. As the overseer of her own underground vault, she exists only to test. And as for those pesky Combine soldiers that periodically attempt to gain access to her facility, she knows exactly how to keep them out.
Are you trying to escape? Things have changed since the last time you left the building. What's going on out there will make you wish you were back in here.
All she wants to do is test, to scratch that itch she was built for, and indulge in the sadistic side that emerged from the traumatic fusion of human consciousness and machine. Life is different down here. Aperture is filled with personality core-based machines that do more than perform functions. They speak, respond, and in many cases present themselves with clear personalities. That raises an uncomfortable possibility. Some of these machines may not simply simulate personality, but possess something closer to actual awareness.
Hello? Is anyone there? Could you come over here?
Constructed within the factories below, these turrets endure a long existence of waiting, programmed to fire upon anything biological they see. The contrast between their innocent, childlike voices and the violence they are built to inflict is deeply jarring.
Sorry.
Designed to protect homes and secure facilities, they have instead been repurposed by GLaDOS into chamber hazards, their original function twisted against the very people placed in their path. Fitted with both an empathy generator and an empathy suppressor, Aperture gives them the ability to recognize suffering, then hardwires them to proceed anyway. There is something genuinely tragic in that. Aperture creates something capable of fear, apology, and panic, then locks it into an endless cycle of obedience and violence. But what else can they do but obey?
Well done, Android. The Enrichment Center once again reminds you that Android Hell is a real place where you will be sent at the first sign of defiance.
Outside the testing track, artificial life continues on. Aperture is not sustained by one intelligence alone. Beneath GLaDOS sits an entire ecosystem of personality constructs, each built to serve some narrow function, each condemned to keep doing so long after the people who designed them are dead. The facility's automated announcements make that sound almost comforting.
The Enrichment Center reminds you that although circumstances may appear bleak, you are not alone. All Aperture Science personality constructs will remain functional in apocalyptic, low-power environments of as few as 1.1 volts.
But there is nothing comforting about it. Some of these advanced personality constructs display recognizable human traits: curiosity, anger, morality, adventure, and that only makes them sadder. The intelligence dampening sphere does not come across like a clean, obedient machine carrying out code. He frets, rambles, panics, and above all, fears GLaDOS in a way that feels uncomfortably real. Aperture gives these things voices, habits, compulsions, and then locks them into roles they cannot step outside of. Some oversee, some maintain. Some are built around a single behavioral defect and left to exist that way indefinitely. Even the repair work falls to something smaller still. Nanobot crews hidden in the walls, carrying out their allotted tasks beneath larger constructs. And all of this just to keep GLaDOS's facility running so she can continue testing her human subjects. So let's return to them. They have endured a long sleep, giving Aperture Science permission to store them in the relaxation vault until it is their turn to join the computer-aided testing track. What nobody expected was that they would outlive the people who put them there and sleep through the invasion above. Maybe, in some sense, there is a small mercy in that. Just how long they have slept is unknown, but these test subjects are woken and placed in the first chamber of the testing track, and one by one, they perish to its dangers. By this point, the human subjects are little more than a biological test component. There is, however, one person left to witness what awaits them. Behind the chambers, beyond GLaDOS's sightlines, Doug Ratman watches from the maintenance areas he fled to when the facility fell. There are no cameras here for her to see him. He is the man in the walls, and he endures an awful existence. He has already lived through the massacre of his colleagues, The dens he leaves behind, the warnings, the frantic traces of a man trying to intervene are acts of resistance in the only form still available to him. But they are not enough to save anyone. And beside him sits his companion cube, no longer just a piece of testing equipment, but something his isolation and unmedicated schizophrenia have given a voice, a presence, perhaps even a kind of comfort in a place where almost every other human connection has been severed. The subjects themselves feel that offness. Something is not right here, and through the web of cameras fixed across the facility, GLaDOS watches, manipulates, and plays with the living pieces moving through her chambers. She replaces standard test chambers with live-fire courses to see whether they survive the sentry turrets. She openly tells them that some chambers are impossible, but the darkest moment comes in test chamber 17. By this point on the testing track, the subject has already endured hours of isolation, unease, and test after test with no interaction beyond the voice of an AI that appears to malfunction. It is here that GLaDOS begins to utilize psychological techniques more deliberately, not simply to unsettle the subject, but to wear down a mind she has kept alone for so long. In a facility stripped of warmth, company, and any ordinary human comfort, she gives the subject something to care about.
This weighted companion cube will accompany you through the test chamber. Please take care of it.
These companion cubes are, in material terms, nothing more than weighted storage cubes stamped with a heart, but the chamber does not present them that way. From the moment GLaDOS introduces this one, she speaks of it with an odd sort of care, as though the cube is not an object at all, but company.
The Enrichment Center reminds you that the weighted companion cube will never threaten to stab you and, in fact, cannot speak. The Enrichment Center reminds you that the weighted companion cube cannot speak. In the event that the weighted companion cube does speak, the Enrichment Center urges you to disregard its advice.
Over the course of the chamber, the cube is carried through hazards, protected, recovered, and relied upon. The point is not simply to move it from place to place, nor is it just another exercise in buttons and energy pellets. The point is the slow build of attachment, and the toll that attachment takes in a place like this.
The symptoms most commonly produced by Enrichment Center testing are superstition, perceiving inanimate objects as alive, and hallucinations.
After hours of isolation and GLaDOS's constant manipulations, the subject has been given the closest thing Aperture has offered to companionship, only for the test to reveal what it has really been building toward.
You did it. The weighted companion cube certainly brought you good luck. However, it cannot accompany you for the rest of the test and, unfortunately, must be euthanized. Please escort your companion cube to the Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator.
Even the word euthanized is part of the act. GLaDOS frames the cube's destruction as mercy, as though the subject is being asked to put down a living thing rather than cast a weighted box into a fire. To continue, the subject must take the one thing this chamber has taught them to protect and personally feed it into the incinerator. There is no way around it. Progress now depends on an act that feels needlessly cruel.
You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations.
And there is the kicker. If a subject makes it this far past the goo, the turret, and the energy pellets, this is where GLaDOS finally reveals what the testing track really is. The subject still hears her as the voice of the facility, another calm instruction folded into the test, and that is what makes the moment so foul. She is not merely seeing whether they can survive, she is seeing whether they will submit, even when the thing she asks of them feels so wrong. Then comes test chamber 19. Up to this point, the subject can still cling to the idea that this is just a brutal testing course, that beyond this final chamber doorway is the end of the testing track and their compensation for their participation. Even cake is promised. To GLaDOS, however, the subject has served their purpose and she herds them towards the incinerator like spent material being cleared from the line, just like the subject discarded their companion cube. And as time passes, the others in extended relaxation remain asleep, utterly unaware that they are next. They have no idea what has happened while they slept, that the staff are dead, that the facility has fallen silent, and that the world above has collapsed into something unrecognizable. They lie in wait for the moment GLaDOS pulls them from storage and places them on the testing track, but deeper underground, there is something darker still. Hidden far below the facility is a secret vault, sealed away by scientists during the neurotoxin attack in the hope of keeping its occupants out of her hands. Even GLaDOS does not know it exists. Inside, stasis-ridden test subjects remain shelved in the dark, untouched and undiscovered, and it will be a very long time before anyone discovers them. The unsettling horror of Aperture Science, that constant feeling of something being off, does not come from graphic violence. It comes from the steady psychological manipulation woven through every chamber the subject is forced to endure. Hours of isolation, hazards, and humiliation stack up that feeling of unease in a controlled environment. But Aperture's horror does not stop at the chambers themselves. It lives in the things that inhabit them. The turrets are disturbing because they can recognize suffering and still obey. The personality cores deepen that discomfort. They do not simply maintain the facility. They speak, panic, plead, and persist, carrying on inside a world of steel corridors, maintenance rails, and GLaDOS' demands that has long since outlived the people who built it. Thought remains active down here, but it is trapped in machinery and forced to continue. The things meant to serve have inherited the facility, while the human beings still inside it move through it only as test materials. And then there is Doug Ratman, hidden away in the maintenance spaces, one broken witness to all of it, still leaving warnings in a place that no longer belongs to people at all. That may be the cruelest part of Aperture Science. Not that so many people die here, but that others remain asleep beneath it, sealed in relaxation and unaware of everything that has happened above and around them. They do not know the staff are dead. They do not know the world outside has collapsed. They do not know what awaits them when they wake. And by the end, one has to wonder whether that unknowing is a mercy or simply another part of the horror. But in time, one subject will awake, and she will change everything. I originally started making this video because I wanted to properly explore why Portal feels so ominous, so uneasy, to dig into the subtle art of its environmental storytelling. I suppose I got a little carried away. Just like I have done with my last few Half-Life videos, I wanted this exploration of Aperture to feel immersive and atmospheric, so I used in-game audio and voiceovers to really show what I was talking about. I yapped a lot in this one, and it was because I really do love what Valve did with the environment of Portal 1, and how they did something even better in Portal 2. They pulled the scope out and showed us just how big Aperture is and that humans really aren't the only life. As this was not a lore video, I didn't tell the story of Portal or Portal 2. I just added the relevant lore to the story I was trying to tell. It was hard because I have that kind of brain where I feel the pressure to explain everything, to give a background, but I feel like I added enough detail for what I put together here. Let me know what you thought. This week's thumbnail was once again designed by Chick. This was a tougher concept to pull together, but I think we got there in the end. Just look at Ratman hiding in the corner. As for what I've been playing over the past 2 weeks, I started a playthrough of the Oblivion remaster but got bored, and now most of my time is occupied by the Ultra Kill Fraud update, which is absolutely fantastic. And I started another Talos Principle playthrough, which is my favourite game of all time. What are you guys playing currently? Finally, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if this one wasn't for you, and let me know why in the comments. Subscribe if you're not already, and hype the video if you're able to do so. At last, a huge thank you to those who help support on channel members and Patreon, in which I do my best to post early content, scripts, and even the thumbnails and the different variations I go through in the creation process. Queen Arby, Lewis, Oren X, Drakey Phoenix, Daniel Cal Drawings, 501st Clone Boy, Ruben Mendoza, Imperial Embers, Canifex, Jimsy, Average Sol, Azu, Jonas, Yali Rodriguez, Detroit, Motzi, Brina Lee, Jacqueline Lavelle, King Jack, Lifeblood, Reaper Gaming, Mamet, Kai the Zin, Zuni115, Full Classic Source, Pooncake, Pointless Man 47, Super Rifle, Frankie, Tiki, and Epic Stuff Things channel. What did you think of this style? Did you prefer the self-contained style of Portal 1 or the grander story of Portal 2? And what would you like me to cover next? This is where our story ends. Check back soon for a new one.